Hello, Inspiration Wednesday. I am going to work with pan pastels today, I think. So what I'm going to have to do first is to gesso everything in here, and then I'll get my acrylic ground for pastels and coat the pages and start working off of there. So I'll start gessoing, and then I'll be back to show you the acrylic. So I dried the gesso, but I forgot to add tape to the spine. So I'm going to go back in, tape the spine, and then add another coat of gesso just because I like to camouflage the tape. And then come back and add the acrylic ground. Alright, so as I was playing, I was thinking, you know, I have a shit ton of rub-ons. So what if because I'm really trying to use them all, because I can't give them away, because I need them, and I can't throw them away because that feels wasteful. I know, it's a catch-22. So I am thinking, why not just throw these down before I put the absorbent ground? It may or may not even show up. I will tell you that most times, my rub-ons are so old that they don't even rub on anymore. So let's just see what happens just by putting these down on my bone folder and putting that underneath the absorbent ground, or acrylic ground, sorry. But I feel better just by getting some of them used somewhere, because it could end up to be something really cool, or not. So this is acrylic ground for pastels, and if you've never heard of this or never used it, basically it's the primer to make the surface the most absorbent it can be to accept pastel color. It is very gritty and it's clear, so I can put it on over this and my beautiful rub-ons will not be disturbed. And you can water it down. I choose not to, just because it's thicker. But if it was too thick, or if you're trying to get it a little bit sketchier across the page, you could totally spritz. I would just spritz it with water from this point. So I am just going to spread that over the top, dry it, and then we'll come back and be ready for pan pastel. And if you're thinking I have some kind of idea of a design in mind, no idea. So I have the green down there, and I'm thinking like simple landscape, kind of going across, maybe like greens and then a little blue sky, like this is in the distance. So I've pulled out all of my greens, maybe not all of them, but most of my greens, and I'm just going to place those in front of me. I use an art bin. This is one, I guess it's for pencils, but I keep all my sponges separated, like reds, orange, yellows, greens, blues. So it helps me. This way I don't have to rewash them or wash them, because, you know, that's a lot of commitment. I'm going to widen this out just so you can see how I have it all set up here. And I guess I'm just going to go in at random. I'm just really going to take colors. I'm going to start with the lighter of the colors. So I'm going to start with the tints. And if you've not worked with pan pastels, they come in each color, there's 20 colors, and each color comes in a tint, the pure color, the shade, and the extra dark shade. So, and all that extra dark shade means they have black in it, and the tints mean they have white in it. So I'm just going to start with the lightest, the tints, and I'm just going to randomly go in here. In the middle-ish. And then, and I think that color is actually Hansa Yellow tint. And then there's another tint I have over here that I like, which is bright yellow green tint. And I'll go into the bright yellow green tint. They look similar, but they are, one has more yellow, one has more green. And I'm going to place that down first, and I'm just taking the sponge, swiping the color, and pouncing it down onto the page. And I'm going to go across the inclusion and then over here and to the other side of the page. And I'm not cleaning my sponge in between, because I don't care if I get some Hansa yellow into my yellow, bright yellow green. Now what I want want you to notice from all that was I picked up the color and I pounced it down. I'm not actually blending. And I always tell my people when they come to the Pan Pastel weekend, repeat after me. I will not blend. I will not blend. I will not blend. Because what happens is when you're doing something like this and you're constantly blending, you're overworking the media. I just want to put it down, and when I have all the different variations of color down, then I want to blend in certain areas. But I want to keep the integrity of each color. So now I'm going to go into the tone, the pure color of both of those. So this will be the Hansa Yellow, and you'll see that that's just slightly darker, and I'm putting it on top. I'm not really thinking about it. I just want to fill this green grassy landscapey portion with color. I don't want to blend it. It shouldn't look like anything but big splats of color. And once I go through this one pass with the tone, the pure color of the Hansa Yellow, I'm then going to go through with the pure color of the bright yellow green, just so I can get all the different values of each color represented. The more depth, or you'll get more depth in your work if you represent each value of the colors. So that's exactly why I'm putting them all in. And now I'm not even cleaning my sponge. I'm going into the bright yellow green, and you'll see that that is totally a different color. And I'm going to do this with all the greens in the bright yellow green and the Hansa Yellow until I have filled this section. Alright, so now I have like this grassy, almost looks like trees in the distance. Now I went darker here because that's the horizon line. So I want that to be darker, and I am going to clean off my sponge. And all I'm going to do is take a paper towel and wipe off the excess. Now this sponge will only go into green, so I don't care if it has green residue on it. If I wanted to pick another color, I would just take a sponge that I have that I just used for blue. So I'm just going to very, very lightly, I'm holding it like this, okay? And the face of the sponge, I'm going to very, very lightly, I'm hardly even touching it. Just kind of softening those edges. Soften that look, and there's a lot of texture. I don't know if you can see it. I'll try to zoom in on it. There's a lot of texture right here. It's because when I was putting the acrylic ground on it, these pages touched and I pulled it, so I kept that texture. It's kind of very pixelated there. Also, the reason why you're putting that absorbent ground, the acrylic ground on there is because the color out of the pan will be the right color on the page. It won't be muted any because the absorbency of the paper is the right absorbency for the color. So I have that, and I'm not going to do anything more in that right now. I'm going to work on the sky. So I'm going to pull, I actually have my blues out. I'm going to take a blue sponge. And I'm just going to go in, I should probably make sure it's not got dark on it. And I'm going to go in, there's two light blues here. I'm just going to go in with that first. The blue I went into was a turquoise tint, and I think I love it. I've got a little bit of the green from just touching here, and it must have had this dark, I believe that's ultramarine blue. Oh, now let me just check what that is, because it was phthalo blue, and it mixed in and gave me this really cool color. So I don't know how much more I want in there. Let me try. This is the phthalo blue tint. Just a little bit of that, but I kind of like it like that. I don't think I'm going to add any dark colors to that. Or maybe I should just make sure, because then maybe what about missing an opportunity. Alright, let's add turquoise, because that's always good. Oh, no, that was right. Add a little turquoise in there. Just randomly. Turquoise is good. Turquoise is your friend. And if you've ever been disappointed by turquoise, you can see how much brighter it goes on if you've got that acrylic ground on there. Because it is a very transparent color, but if you have the ground on the background, it's just beautiful. And don't mind my dogs playing and sounds like killing each other in the background. As long as it's not the kids, right? Oh yes, this is, I'm feeling it. You feeling it? I feel good. All right, probably not singing. All right, so now that I have that on there, I'm just going to gently blend over that. And I don't care if some of that green gets into my sky. I'm liking it. I'm really liking the texture too, so I'm very, very light-handed on that face of that sponge. So that texture really looks like a cloudy sky. All right, so I have that, I'm loving it, and I want to bring in that horizon line again. So I have a knife out. I really like the bar sponges. You see me using ones like this. This one, and the square one, I use those as interchangeably. My favorite is this two-sided pointy one. But now I'm going to do some detail. I'm going to make a horizon line. So I'm going to go in with that darkest of those greens, and I'm going to do a press and flick. I'm going to press it down, and I'm just going to flick it like this. And I'm going to blend it as I'm doing that. And hopefully that will bring in this horizon line back. And I'm pressing it down and flicking it. And then I'm just kind of doing some blending to soften it. Because I do want that line, but I don't want it to be so distinct. And also notice it'll be dark and light in some areas. That's what you want. Going to add some of that same color just very lightly down here, just kind of framing that out. I'm thinking like trees, there's got to be trees or something up there, and I'm going to use the same, yeah, I'll use the same one. I'm going into, this is a much darker green. This is chromium oxide extra dark. I totally put that in the camera, didn't I? Alright, so I'm just going to go into that, and I'm just going to put orb trees. Like, they're not really trees, they're just like Hinto tree. I'm gonna try out my new toy. I'm an electric eraser. Hee hee. And the stems, I just went crazy, so I'm gonna take that away because pan pastels are erasable. Of course, they're also gonna erase the blue underneath there, so I'm gonna have to go in and put some of that blue back. Or do I like that? Maybe I like that. No, I don't love that. So I'm going to take that blue. And let's see, I think there's some green on there. So let me just get some of that blue. Just go back in and fill in under those trees. Alright, so I've got the trees on there, and I'm going to go in and just make some shadows. So I'm going into that darkest of the bright yellow green, which is the original color I put here. Just making sure there's a little shadow underneath there. Enough to look like it's not just a tree placed in there for a random reason. Finished with the landscape part of this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this outside and spray it with my Helmar Fixative. I don't know where I just put it. Oh, here it is. Alright, so it's actually the varnish. It's the top coat because I'm not going to put any layers of color on here. It's the Crystal Coat Matte Varnish, and it just started shipping in the US. We do carry it. I'm going to cover this whole thing. Now, if you've ever taken one of my classes before, you've seen like I've had to spray in between layers. That's because we weren't using the acrylic ground for pastel. If you're using the acrylic ground and you're not constantly blending, you do not need to spray in between layers. And that would be the fixative, not the varnish. Because you're using all that color and you're kind of working it, you can still achieve the different brightnesses and tones and shades and stuff like that. So I'm going to take this outside, spray it, come back, and we'll put some topical finishing layers on it. Alright, so I pulled this out. This is a Judikin stamp. I think I bought it like 100 years ago. So it's just sketchy lines. And I think I'm going to kind of put a little junk to this. So we'll see how we do. Now, I was taught this trick by Jennifer McGuire 100 years ago as well. But if you don't want the square edges, which is what I'm doing here, you can take a baby wipe and kind of blot the edges out like that. And then when you stamp this, oh, I've gotten square edges, whether I want it or not. How about that? But that's okay. just gonna keep going with that. Whatever's left, I'll just get some pixelated lines. Just to make it like an old, I don't know. Just to make it look old. Yeah, I don't like that. Oh well. Although I probably can put a stamp there. I think I could put a stamp. Let's put a stamp there, and then it's not so in your face. I want to obliterate that too. Okay, so I'm going to put a stamp there. This is your greatness comes from within. Share it, transform it, and make it inspiring. It's one of mine from Unity. And I'm going to stamp it so I can camouflage that line. It's okay. Maybe a tag. Tags always cover things up. Do I have a tag? How could I not have tags? That would be crazy, right? I have these kind of tags. It's got the numbers on it, but I can just turn it over. I could tag it. But then I got that whole this. But I'm not opposed to a tag. Let's see if I have a solid tag. Now I am clearly just talking to myself. How can I not have a break? Alright, when you can't get the stamp to fit the tag, get a new stamp. This one says, always believe something wonderful is about to happen. And I feel like maybe that's a better sentiment for that. So I'm going to stamp that in Stays On. There you go. And then I'm going to have to distress it somehow. Something's got to go on there. I'll have to think about that. I'll be back. So I'm thinking about distressing the tag in a little crushed olive. I do love me some crushed olive. So let's just go around it. Not sure why I'm putting it on the book. Look at how cool that little perforated edge looks inked. Well, that makes me extremely happy. I want to just leave it like that. I really kind of do. Tape, masking tape it down, glue it down, staple it down. Certainly I could put the date on there. I kind of just like leaving it like that. How about I put the date? That's a decision I can do. I don't even know what today is. Today is, check the computer, it is 17th. July, geez, it's already July 17th. Do I put it there? Do I put it there? Do I put it there? Oh, so many decisions. I guess I'm putting it there. I don't know if I like that. I'm keeping it. And I think, do I glue? Do I tape? I just don't know. How about I glue it, and then if I want to put anything on top of it, then it's just for fun. I thought I was recording, but I wasn't. I took 3 pieces of masking tape and put them like that. And I think I'm going to keep it like that for now. Now, what I'm going to do is take a little collage page. And I know it's going to screw up that, but I still need to make sure it's going to stay. So I'll just be really, really careful in my placement. But I don't want this glue to come up, or the tape to come up. I want it to stay sandwiched in there, so just be kind of quick. Alright, that's it for this Inspiration Wednesday. It was kind of quick, it was fun, I really like it, it feels good, so I'm going to leave it just like that. And for those of you that wanted to see my hair, of course I haven't showered today, so this is my short hair and I don't really like it. But it's growing on me. Those of you who were wondering why I had to cut it all off, don't buy a metal barrel brush and have a very hot hair dryer, because clumps of hair will just fly out and singe. It's a very, very sad story. It involved tears, and I went in knowing. I started looking for short haircuts. Those of you that follow me on Pinterest, you saw them. But I'm gonna have to embrace it. I'm gonna have to make it cutesy and artsy. And okay, I'll stop talking about it now. Okay, I'll see you next week for Inspiration Wednesday.